Hey, how's it going everyone? Welcome back to another Rec Room video, and if you guys didn't already seen, Rec Room just got a big update. So have fun, or I hope you did have fun reading those patch notes when they did come out. Some things to note though, with this new update, they did break Legacy hats. So since my hat was in Legacy inside my Afro, it's now outside of my Afro because Legacy isn't working right now. We got a list of new features, including some new watch UIs and stuff like that, as you guys can see, but we'll get into that as we talk about the update. So update this, update that, let's finally talk about it. We have Rec Room's update, the Too Much Handles edition. Now they had some improvements for advanced creation mode. They added a marquee selection to the PC keyboard plus mouse advanced creation mode. Shift click and drag to select several objects, control click and drag to deselect several objects. In object models / room 2.0 rooms only affect objects in the current scope tree. Added invention details to ACM, adjusted ACM UI elements to fit within the side panel, fixed a bug where quietly creating shapes in ACM caused a crash, and tool change FSX now plays when the connect tool is selected. Then they have the section all about handles. They added new chips that work on all handles, the handle set control prompt and the handle get control prompt. Trigger handle set / get control prompt chips now have only worked on the trigger handles are now deprecated. Added new handle scope events, handle on pickup, handle on release, and they can be used inside of all handle object boards. They renamed and deprecated existing on pickup and on released events in swing handle beta, gun handle beta, and trigger handle. In beta, play handle haptics chip now works with the throw handle, and also in beta, gun handle and swing handle now have the option to configure the primary action control label. Gun handle beta aim assist has been reworked for ease of use and it's on by default for non-VR platforms. Now more excitingly, they actually have some VR experience updates, and it goes as the follows. They updated the wristwatch UI for accessing room chat in VR, which if you guys don't already know is this new 2DI for the room chat button. For me at the moment, when I open up room chat, it gives me the old room chat UI, but for some people when they decide to open up room chat, it does look different, but this is how the new wrist UI is looking like. Be sure to let me know your guys' thoughts, but honestly, I don't like it. They have this new adjust controller offset setting for VR to be able to fine tune where their virtual hand is relative to their real life controller. So with offset, this means that players inside of Rec Room can now decide where their hand is IRL. So players can pick the position of their hand relative to their controller or whatnot, or if they didn't want to do that, they can kind of just make it all wacky and stuff and show their friends how they're goofing off. They then fixed avatars not showing up on load screens and new outfit thumbnails on Quest. They're testing some minor adjustments to the way objects are held in VR as well. Little note to that, you guys might want to check out the laser pistol and see how you guys like the feel of how you hold that now. Now they had a bunch of UGC released from beta. I'm not going to read it all because most of it is chips, and this means that this UGC stuff is not in beta no more, it's released. Now they have another section called UGC Beta, and these are everything that are actually inside of beta. These aren't getting released from beta or anything like that. Most of them are chips once again, so I will let you guys just pause and read here. Be sure to let me know your guys' thoughts. Now Rooms 2.0 has a massive thing of patch notes, it's crazy. Let's read it out. Now in Rooms 2.0, the voice roll-off distance player property can now be locally overridden. This lets you build systems where, for example, players on the same team can hear each other from far away, but players on opposing teams can't. They added player override voice roll-off distance and player clear voice roll-off distance override chips. Go to Room chip is now available. They added limited support for inventions. Creators should now be able to create inventions in Rooms 2. Rooms 2 inventions cannot yet be published. Touchpad is now supported in Rooms 2. Trigger volume is now supported in Rooms 2 and can filter players by player tag. Gun handle is now available in Rooms 2. A collision detection volume now output the root object hit when hitting an object in the hierarchy. A number of bugs have been fixed around object board positioning, especially the way they jump around after reparenting. Rewards in Room HUD now support inventory items. Their support has been added for inventory item equipment slots. Find them on the inside of one of your wrists with Room Chat on the other. As I mentioned inside my short talking about the actual new wrist UI, you guys can actually access your room inventory as well. They added quick access to gamepad controls for inventory item equipment slots, added visibility settings to room inventory items for more control over what gets displayed in the room inventory. Custom CV2 local motion is now enabled in Rooms 2. This allows you to modify local motion via a default graph of new events and chips that spawn inside the new player definition board. Though to note, in rooms with existing player definition boards, you need to use the spawn default locomotion chips button in the config menu to bring your room up to date. Custom CV2 footsteps is also enabled in Rooms 2. Like locomotion, you can spawn a default audio graph from a player definition board config menu. This graph implements our standard footstep audio in CV2, and then modify that graph to implement your own custom footstep behaviors. Now we have some general improvements and bug fixes. Let's start with our general improvements. The data table room saves will now be set as the active save in unpublished rooms. Data table chips can now more reliably import data from external spreadsheet programs. They now accept commas, quotes, and new line characters. Click-drag operation for recoloring is now supported outside shape containers. They reduced how long there's a black screen at the start of orientation. Now for our bug fixes. They fixed a bug where saving while attempting to switch rooms would cancel the room switch after saving. Fixed the bug that voice volume is always 100% upon login, even if shown otherwise. They fixed projectiles fired from projectile launchers inherit the velocity of the launcher. Items locked with keys will now start unlocked in a cloned version of the room. Fixed an issue where walking too close to the community board would start scrolling the UI instead of continuing to walk. They fixed an issue when using the art canvas or touchpad components while flying, you could still steer your avatar body around while having the main camera fixed and placed. They fixed a bug causing the interacting player to freeze after even swapping rooms if they are interacting with the touchpad component when someone else deletes the touchpad. Fixed a bug where closing the Maker Pen menu would clear your selection when the Create tool is active. Players no longer get stuck with an unusable Maker Pen after canceling the Create Invention flow at the camera stage, and they fixed a bug that could cause child objects and circuit boards to be visible at a room level after a user drops their Maker Pen while editing into a container. They fixed the search pad for dialog UI chips. Navigating to the config menu after selecting a circuit bus chip will now correctly display the config settings for the continuing board. They fixed a bug that prevented circuit boards from containing studio functions from being copied in one room and pasted into another room. Fixed an issue that caused tags not to be added to the respawn point v2 component. Fixed a bug that could cause the port types inside boards not to update properly, and they fixed an issue that could cause CV1 spawner chips to remove an incorrect location. And then lastly, they fixed slanted quotation marks, like those on iOS, showing an asterisk in room chat, and not showing up at all in the UGC text component. Where am I? Oh, you guys are watching. Dang, let me just shimmy. Ow. Massive shout out to all my channel members: Eric OVR, TechSide, Trevor A, Random Person GM, Jack Tutorial, Mr. Raphael RR, Hockey Boy Cloud, Netflix69, Box David, and Dozer Blake Cat. Thank you guys for supporting the channel, and if you're a squidling, I appreciate you too. Anyways, let's get back with the updates. Now my next patch note is going to be about Rec Room Studio tools. Before I continue on, I just want to say thank you guys for sticking around this long into the video. I know I'm just reading the patch notes and stuff like that, but be sure to let me know if you guys are actually hyped for Rec Room updates. Anyways, we have our Rec Room Studio tools, and Rec Room says the following. Use the test subroom button now to test your room locally without having to wait a cloud build. It's now easier to upload and save your work to rec.net as many times as you want, and then later go back and choose which saves to actually build. Clover, stop. They added a download button to each room save in the room save list, made it easier to find the room save inspector, which allows you to build any unbuilt save, and tells you the in-game download sizes of your room on different platforms. Check out an early version of Performance Explorer, a new tool that will help you identify and solve performance issues with your room. In this first version, see the overall triangle counts of your room as well as the details of lights and cameras. Room tags are changing, and with that, the RR Studio room settings are updated to match. Added Rec Room Studio RecNet image component, which can be used to display images on Rec Room Studio objects. State machine, state, and player definition board chips can now be opened in the circuits editor. You can now double click on a circuit's object, chips, object board, circuit boards in the hierarchy window to open those items in the circuit editor with no. You can also use an arrow on the right side of the hierarchy to view the contents of these boards in the circuit editor window. Memory Explorer has a new tab for the circuit's no data, and they dramatically reduced loading time for rooms with many Maker Pen shapes. Now, there were some fixes that didn't end up getting their own sections about Rec Room Studio and Rooms 2.0 in Rec Room Studio fixes. This is a long list of a bunch of bugs between Rec Room Studio and Rooms 2.0 inside of Rec Room Studio. They now fixed a bug where the Fix Me option would show on materials validation errors that don't have an available upgrader. It's been on the sore spot that having multiple Rec Room object components with your prefabs makes them explode when put into a room. Luckily, that should be fixed. You can now have prefabs that include objects with the Rec Room object on them, and note that any circuits from those nested objects won't be included. Fixed a common cause and another potential source of Rec Room object destroyed errors. Fixed a bug causing uploads to fail when the assets/Rec Room Studio folder is deleted. Loading studio function chips that reference a studio function that is no longer defined in the room no longer throws an exception. Fixed a bug that could cause some rooms to take a long time to load and produce an error message when they finally finish loading. They fixed a minor bug that prevented editing studio functions on a newly created Rec Room object component. Fixed a bug that prevented undoing the placement of new props into the Maker Pen scene. Fixed an issue with undoing and redoing changes to the position or rotation of an object that contains an object board. Fixed some UI bugs with the Rec Room Studio room creator chat and circuit palette windows. Now it's easier to send messages to fellow creators who are in room in-game. Rooms 2.0 in RR Studio fixes. Now they renamed a container that will now rename its object board and vice versa. It's now possible to adjust the scale of containers and have their children scale correctly, but be careful to not let your container scale reach 0. We still have a bug in that case. It should be possible to adjust the non-uniform scale of shapes and other deformable objects to see them scale correctly. And lastly, they fixed a bug that produced an error message in the console when a creator attempted to place an unsupported UGC object in a Rooms 2.0 room. And so, that is all, my friends. That is the Rec Room update that is finally here, and the Rec Room update that we kinda had been waiting on. When Rec Room had declared before all their actual support members had went on break that it would be their last update, this was the update that we were told were going to be the big one for when we come back. So the update schedule is back live again, and we should see updates regularly and stuff like that, but this was just a really big one because the Rec Room developers have been working and not releasing an update. So it was super massive, and of course, be sure to let me know your guys' thoughts on any of the new changes, any of the new bug fixes, the chips, the circuits, and everything like that. I want to hear your guys' comments, and maybe you guys will even talk about how the legacy option is still broken. I look so dumb. Anyways, if you guys like the video, feel free to like it. And if you guys don't like the video, I'm gonna bucket you, IRL. Of course, folks, be sure to support me in-game by using code SKULL, SK0L, or going into my profile and clicking that support button. I greatly do appreciate it, folks, and be sure to subscribe!